Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. My name is Christine. Today we're gonna do a little coffee chat, but with matcha because I don't drink coffee. Today we're gonna talk about toxic friends, living your life how you want to live it, not how your parents or your family or your friends want you to live it. I'm gonna share some of my experience, how I moved out during college against my parents' wishes. So before we go ahead and dive into the video, first, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you haven't already. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I have here a cup of matcha. As you know, I don't really drink coffee anymore just because coffee just has so much caffeine that it makes me kind of anxious and it gives me like the jitters. This is actually iced matcha. I wanted to put it in a mug because I feel like it just looks so much better in pictures. I always drink my matchas ice, and if you're curious about my matcha recipe, I'll go ahead and link a TikTok that I did recently on it. If you follow me on Instagram, I talk a lot about protecting your peace, cutting off toxic people, even if it means close friends, family. I think it's super important to curate your circle and kind of be selective about people that you allow into your life and be super close to, because it can just make such a difference on your life. In high school, I talk about this all the time, that I was super insecure. I had like a really toxic group of friends, and I do have one girlfriend, Cindy Fan, that I'm still friends with today, and she's literally one of the only people from high school that I still talk to today, because everyone else just was bad vibes. They never included me in things, they never invited me to anything, and whenever I would hang out with them, they were always gossiping about someone. In high school, it was convenient to stay friends with these people. After graduating, I just realized that there's no point in kind of staying friends with people just because it was convenient. I just wanted to be a lot more selective with my circle. Even in my adult life, I made a couple of friends that I no longer am friends with. I don't want to get into that because I just don't like talking bad about people, and I would rather just wish them the best and kind of move on with my life. I think we need to normalize breaking up with our friends as much as we normalize like breaking up with a significant other. Oftentimes you will no longer see eye to eye to someone that you maybe grew up with or was your best friend for years and years and years, and I feel like that is totally okay. Friend breakups also don't need to be this like big dramatic event. It could just be you slowly drifting apart from another person. A couple of weeks ago, Brandon and I actually drove up to Seattle with our friend Josh, and I did a Q&A while we were on our little road trip because it wasn't little, it was 18 hours in the car, which was absolutely dreadful. And I did share this post, so I'll go ahead and put it here on the screen if you haven't seen it. But someone asked, if you've gone through toxic friendship breakup, would you go back and be friends with them again? If you break up with a guy or a girl, your significant other, you would obviously be a little bit more cautious with getting back together with them. And just like friend breakups, there is a reason that I no longer talk to the people that I no longer talk to. However, I am open to the idea if someone does come back into my life and we end up clicking again, but I think that the reason why we are no longer friends is because we no longer see eye to eye. I'm 25, and I just feel like at this age, I just have so much of a lower tolerance for anything that I don't like. But there are a couple things that I cannot stand when it comes to friendships, and one of those is friends that don't put in the same energy as I do. I feel like I care a lot about the people that I hold near and dear in my life, and I put a lot of time and energy into maintaining those friendships. I have a super low tolerance when it comes to people that don't reciprocate that, and often that shows up as flaky friends. I think there's a difference between someone having things come up from time to time and someone that is just flaky and can't commit to hanging out with you. People that don't listen as much, you know, like when you're talking to friends and you're sharing a story and they constantly have to bring in a story on their end that relates to what you're talking about instead of just listening and hearing you out. I cannot stand that, and I just feel like a big part of being a good friend is being a good listener. Also, people that don't reach out to me, if I feel like I'm constantly and trying to make plans with them and they're constantly either flaking on me or never asking me to hang out on their own. Also, another trait that just shows that they don't reciprocate that energy back. The last thing that I absolutely cannot stand is when someone wants to be friends with me for superficial reasons. I feel like I'm pretty good at reading people. Sometimes I can tell that people just want to be friends with me to benefit off of me somehow. I feel like that is like the definition of a fake friend, and I just do not stand for that at all. A lot of the people I've met in LA, I do not really like consider close friends just because I do get that vibe off of them. I had a friend that I made here in California, and I just felt like she was constantly jealous of me. I would tell her about my successes. Just would never really feel like she was genuinely happy for me. And I think it's super important to have people that really want to support you and are truly happy for your successes and can also be there for you when you have like a bad day. If something is not currently serving you in a positive way, why are you keeping it in your life? You know what I mean? Oh, there's a little matcha at the bottom. While I was in college, I slowly met a few people here and there and slowly started building my circle. And now I feel like I have so many amazing human beings in my life, people that truly love and support me and genuinely are like happy for my successes. It truly feels like a two-way street, and that's how friendship should be. It should not require a whole lot of effort. You shouldn't feel bad about yourself all the time when you're with them. Okay, next, let's talk about toxic parents. My mom is a tiger mom. Like, if you guys have seen Crazy Rich Asians, the mom in that movie is literally my mom. Growing up, I was the oldest of 3 kids, and so I just felt like I was their crash course in parenting. Caveat this, I know that my parents just love and care for me so much, and they only want what's best for me. Since I was the oldest growing up, she was super strict with me, and like I didn't have a car that I could drive until college. I couldn't even go out or hang out with people late at night. I never was allowed to do sleepovers. Long story short, I met Brandon in college. His mom was like the opposite of my mom. She was very carefree, always supported him pursuing his dreams, whereas my mom was always like, you need to be an engineer or a doctor or do something that makes a lot of money, and there's never any other option. I was always super scared of going against her wishes and always scared of like making her upset at me, but I was listening to a lot of Gary Vee's podcasts, and if you've never listened to his podcasts or videos, you definitely need to, because he's such an inspiration and part of the reason why I wanted to move out. He emphasizes the importance of not asking for permission, but asking for forgiveness. And that's kind of how I live like my entire college experience. Was I stopped asking my parents for permission. I just started doing things and then dealing with the consequences afterwards. Sophomore year of college, against my mom's wishes, I moved out of the house and I picked up another job in order to help pay my rent. The more you do things against their wishes, the more I think they'll understand. Someone asked me a while ago on Instagram if like going against your parents' wishes ever gets easier. No, it doesn't. Every single time I always get like extreme anxiety. In college, would stay up crying all the time just because it never feels good to do anything like especially against your parents' wishes, because you love them so much and you know that they only want what's best for you, but sometimes you just don't see eye to eye on certain things, and so it never gets easier, but I think dealing with it does. Again, at the end of the day, it is your life, and I think you need to do whatever makes you happy. I felt like moving out was the best thing that I ever did because it helped me and my mom's relationship so much more. Every time I would like come home to visit, she wouldn't nag as much, and we didn't get in as many fights just because I was no longer like home 24/7. I also felt like it helped develop my independence. Whatever decisions that I made, it was a lot easier for me to do just because I was no longer living under her roof and I was like more financially independent. I also think it's super important to eventually fully be financially independent. Like, my mom no longer pays for anything that I have or own. I'm eventually gonna get a new car that I'm fully gonna pay for myself. One thing that parents will do to make you follow their wishes is to kind of like hold over your head the things that they've done for you, all the things that they continue to pay for. Oftentimes my mom would threaten to stop paying for these things, and it would almost like force me to have to listen to her because I was still dependent on her. So someone asked, when do you feel like the right time is to move out? Is moving out worth it financially and mentally? I feel like you will know when it's time to move out, especially if you get in a lot of arguments with your parents like I did. I got to a breaking point where I was like, okay, I need to move out because it's not good for me to stay home. It was the best decision that I ever made. It was worth all the stress. It was worth staying up late after work to study and finish my schoolwork. I think it is so worth it, and I cannot emphasize it enough how important it is to move out and be a little bit more independent with your life, just because I feel like so many more things fall into place once you are a little bit more independent. It's a lot easier to do things that you want to do and not constantly have to ask for permission. Like, the worst thing for me was when I was living at home and I would be out, my mom would always call me and be like, where are you? What are you doing? And it was just like, too controlling of my life. A lot of my other friends were living in their own places, and none of their parents would ever call them constantly during the day to ask like what they were up to. You're allowed to live your life how you want to. You're allowed to make your own decisions. And I think moving out and becoming a more independent person is like the best thing that you can do for yourself. Financially, I will be honest with you, I had nights where I would like cry because I was stressed out about money. I was stressed out with my homework and not having any time to just like relax. All of college, I just was constantly hustling just because I had no other option. If I didn't work, I wouldn't be able to afford rent, and I just did not want to move home so strongly that I was willing to put up with all of that. Someone asked, feeling responsible in caring for your family financially and wanting to be on your own. I feel like this is a hard one because I never felt my parents or family depended on me financially. It was more the other way around. And I never felt any type of like inclination to stay home and take care of them. As far as my advice for something like that, your mental health is the most important, and if it's taking a big toll on you to constantly be home, taking care of your parents and all that stuff, I think the best thing that you can do is move out, and I think your parents will eventually forgive you. They'll eventually figure out a way to take care of themselves because they've made it so far without any help before you, right? It's hard. What do you do when you care about your siblings but they take on the traits of your parent? I feel like I'm really lucky because I have the best siblings in the world. I feel like my brother has become super responsible and level-headed, and oftentimes when my mom and I will get in fights, he'll be like the mediator between us. Me and my siblings just grew up knowing that we did not want to become our parents. Because of that, we all turned out pretty good. But if you do feel like your siblings are taking on the traits of your parents, if you're still living at home, move out. I posted this picture a while ago on my Instagram, and in the caption I talked about cutting off toxic people in your life, even if that means family. I moved out sophomore year of college and my mom was so mad at me. She didn't talk to me for months, but she eventually got over it, and I feel like that applies to so many different things. Oftentimes you feel like when you go against your parents' wishes, it's gonna be the end of the world and it's gonna ruin your relationship, when it's not. When I told my mom that I was gonna use my college degree and do real estate, that didn't even require a degree, and then halfway through my real estate career decided that I wanted to start a YouTube channel and become like an influencer, she was so mad at me. She was like, why did I pay for all your college? Why did we waste all of these years? But like in the grand scheme of things, going to college helped me learn to manage my time, helped me to make friends with complete strangers. It also taught me to work for anything that I wanted. If I wanted to continue paying rent while going to school, I had to put in that work to do it because no one else was gonna do it for me. In real estate, it taught me how to market myself and how to negotiate. All the decisions that I've made up to now have led me to where I am today. You can't ever say that anything that you did in your life was a waste of time because it all taught you things that helped lead to where you are now. I know my mom is happy and proud of me, and now she can eventually be supportive of me, even though at the very beginning she was not supportive. And that was only because she wanted me to be financially stable. She wanted me to live a very cushy life that was just like safe, because she never had that growing up. Another thing that motivated me too was the fear of failing. It scared me to death to do something against my parents' wishes and come back running to them asking for help, needing money or something like that. That was just the biggest fear that I had and was never an option in my mind. I knew that no matter what I did, I was going to be successful at it because I was willing to put in the time, the work, and I was so scared of this idea of like being a failure that I knew it was not going to happen. Going back to toxic friends, someone asked, if all your friends in your circle are toxic and you cut them out, how do you make new friends without a social life? The process of building friends as an adult is very strange because like, how do you even make friends? Do you talk to someone random in a cafe and hope that they like also have been looking for new friends? Like, it's just a very strange thing to do. Any type of friend breakup is hard and it sucks, and obviously like I still think about people that I used to be friends with from time to time. You just kind of have to like put yourself out there. I met one of my best friends in college and her name was Cindy Vu. We actually met because I came into class one day and just like struck up a conversation, and we ended up clicking and started talking every single day. She still is like one of my closest friends to this day. It takes a lot of time and you really have to put yourself out there and force yourself to make new friends. Eventually you'll build a new circle of friends that are like truly supportive, and it just feels like a two-way street. Any day I would way rather deal with having no friends and slowly building that up rather than staying friends with a group of people just because it's convenient. The most important takeaways are to make sure that you're curating the people that you hold near and dear in your life. Even if it means distancing yourself from your own family, your mom, your dad, make it known what you choose to accept and what you choose to not accept. The people that you hold close to your life will directly affect you, your life, and your decisions. And so I think because of that, it's super important to curate that circle of friends and make sure all of these people reciprocate the love and energy that you put into these friendships. If you're financially able, move out. Your parents will always want what's best for you, but sometimes you just have to do things against your parents' wishes and kind of deal with consequences later. At the end of the day, if they see that you love what you do and you're successful at it, they will eventually come to support you. That is all the advice I can give you guys. I also have another video if you are interested more in like the relationship side of things, like how to deal with a toxic boyfriend, how to deal with like breakups and stuff like that. I also have a video talking a lot more about confidence and how I gained so much more confidence after high school. I want to be so much more than a beauty or an outfits page. I want to be kind of like your big sister. Make sure you give it a big thumbs up so I know you want to see more videos like this in the future. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video. Ugh, that was a lot. I need some matcha.